Howdy guys, got a video here today on the Snowpeak AP900, and in today's video I'm going to be trying to make the rifle a little more accurate. To do that I'm going to be taking a close look at the barrel, as a rifle with a barrel problem will never be accurate even with a really good tune or setup. Now I will say that there are other factors that contribute to accuracy, but when a rifle is inaccurate I always examine the barrel or how the pellet is loaded first. With that said, we have very little control over what happens in the middle of the barrel, but we can control how the pellet enters and exits the barrel. If the pellet is fed in cleanly with no damage done during the loading process, and it can also exit cleanly without being caught up on the crown, the rifle has the best possible chance of being accurate. It's still not guaranteed, but it is a start. Right then, to begin with, we're going to be checking if the pellet is being damaged during the firing process. So first thing I've gone ahead and done is just remove the cylinder and the shroud so that the rifle is safe to work on. And what we're going to be doing first is loading a pellet using our magazine, then pushing the pellet through the barrel, then checking it for damage. So first things first, the pellet can be loaded normally. We're not going to be ramming it through, but we're also not going to be babying it either. So there we have it. There was a little bit of resistance as the pellet is pushed through, so I'll make a mental note of that. But with that done, we can remove the magazine. Then the next thing we need to do is remove the barrel so that we can push the pellet out the end. So with our pellet loaded, the next thing we can do is push it through using our rod. So this particular rod has a push pin in the end so that we're not going to be pushing on the pellet skirt. What I'm going to be doing is just pushing the pellet through the rifling, making any notes of any points of the barrel which feel super tight, or if we have any rough spots. The main thing I'm going to be doing is going nice and slow as we come to the crown. So the crown is at the very end of the barrel, just there. And what I'm going to be doing is feeling for any resistance or step in resistance as the pellet comes out the end. In an ideal world, you shouldn't really be able to feel the point at which the pellet leaves the barrel. It should just exit nice and cleanly. So going nice and slowly. So at that point there, the pellet feels pretty good. There was no major step or anything like that as the pellet left the barrel. And that little test there tells us if we have a large burr on the inside edge of the crown. So if there was a big step or you had to sort of force the pellet out the end of the barrel, that would indicate that there's a burr on the crown and that we need to take a closer look at it. This barrel seems to be fine. I probably will give it a once over just to make sure, but for now it seems pretty good. The other thing I want to mention is that this particular barrel here is unchoked. So with a choked barrel around 25mm to 20mm, say, around from the end of the barrel, if you were pushing a pellet down it, you would feel an increase in resistance as the pellet neared the end. This is because on a choked barrel, the rifling narrows down very slightly at the end, creating the choke. An unchoked barrel should feel pretty even all the way through, as we don't have the narrowing at the end of the rifling. Right then, sorry for the change in setup, but I did want to get a really nice close-up view of the pellet so you can see exactly what's going on. And from a cursory glance, I can see two issues with the barrel and the way it interacts with the pellet. So we have two bits of damage, one fairly minor and then another major one that you'll see very shortly. For now though, if we take a look at the side of the skirt, so the rear end of the pellet, as you can see around this area here between these two rifling marks, we have a gouge or a dig. Now this is probably caused by the transfer port. There's probably a burr on the internal edge which is causing this piece here to be removed from the pellet as it's loaded into the barrel. Now that's a fairly minor mark. We can get rid of the burr on the transfer port fairly easily. It's a bit of a pain, but it is fairly simple to sort out. The other issue is on the other side of the pellet. So hopefully that should be pretty clear, but on the head, as we see it here, we have a big swage of lead that's been removed from the side of the pellet. Now, if we were to fire this pellet down range, I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't fly straight. It's probably going to end up tumbling, and maybe one of the flyers that we were experiencing as we were shooting the rifle. But as you can see that there we have a large chunk of the head of the pellet removed, and it is leaving behind some debris on the side of it there. Apart from that though, the pellet does look fairly clean. If we take a look at the rifling marks, they all do seem to be fairly equal. There's no real other major problems with the pellet. It is a little unbalanced, obviously. I've just got it pushed onto a metal skewer. But as you can see there are no other major issues. Right then, so what's causing the damage to the pellet? We'll take a look at the barrel starting at the front and working our way back. So firstly, as we pushed the pellet out of the end of the crown, I couldn't feel any major jump or any steps as the pellet was pushed out of the end, so I don't think that there's a burr on the inside edge of the crown, and that's certainly not causing us the damage to the pellet. Now, I haven't checked it for concentricity yet, so I will have to do that a little later on, but for now I don't think there's an issue with the crown. Similarly, the internals of the barrel felt very good. There were no major rough patches or any tight spots, anything like that, and for a cheap barrel it felt surprisingly good. Similarly, the lead felt nice and clean. The pellet probe pushes the pellet past the start of the rifling so that it's fully seated within the rifling as we take a shot. And when we used our rod to push the pellet out the end, I couldn't feel any steps or any judders as we started the pellet moving. So finally we come to the breech end, and this is where I think our problem lies. So it could be any one of three things. Firstly, I'm pretty sure we have a burr on the inside edge of the transfer port. Secondly, it could be a burr either side of the transfer port O-ring. That does feel a little rough. Then finally, and most likely, I think it's one of these chamfered edges on the lead to the barrel. So either this one here or this internal one here. So as we push a pellet through our magazine, it hits this small chamfer here and needs to ride over it through the transfer port and then be pushed into the lead. If I take a little wooden dowel here and just rub that over the edge, it feels incredibly sharp, and we can actually get the edge to pick up some debris from the cotton bud. So that certainly isn't good. That's going to catch on our pellet and may be causing us our damage. So that's probably where I'm going to concentrate most of my efforts. Now at this point I do want to mention that we could narrow our search down by just dropping a pellet into the end of the barrel without using a magazine. What this would do is check our magazine to make sure that this isn't causing us our damage. However, I've checked the magazine itself. If we push a pellet straight through the mag, we get no issues whatsoever. The magazines are actually surprisingly nice. This is another one of the nice features about this rifle. The pellet itself isn't the indexing point for the mag. It actually indexes on a little keyway there, so that the pellet is only being held by an O-ring, and there is no resistance between the magazine and the pellet. I've also tested it with a single shot loader. Right then, so we have a couple issues to fix, but it should be nice and simple. What I'm going to be doing is cleaning up all the sharp edges and removing anything that can cause damage to the pellet as it's loaded. First thing to do is put a cotton bud into the barrel, and this was pushed into the lead, and what that does is stop metal filings going down the barrel, and it should make cleanup a little easier. What I can do then is start working on deburring the transfer port. So what happens when the transfer port is machined is that the hole is typically drilled last, and what that does is push a burr into the inside edge of the barrel, and we need to remove that. To do that, what I'm using here is just a really small round file. This one is a round pointed one from Velour, and what I'm doing is just touching the edge of the hole and filing off the high spots. I am being really nice and careful not to damage the lead or create any deep grooves. You probably won't be able to see much on camera, but I'm just taking my time using very light pressure and just taking the sharp edges out. Every now and again, what you can see me do is put a torch in either the transfer port hole or in the pellet hole, and then look through either the transfer port or up the bore of the barrel just to see if I can see any material hanging down that needs to be removed. Another good way to check for internal burrs is to use a cotton bud. So putting a cotton bud in the bore of the barrel, then moving it across the transfer port hole, putting a small amount of force on it, and then checking the cotton bud to see if you have excessive tearing. So you will always lose a bit of material from the cotton bud as you are dragging it over a hole, and the cotton is fairly soft, but if you're seeing large amounts of cotton being torn off, you know you have an issue inside the barrel. But as you can see there, I've brought you in nice and close. We have a torch on the inside edge of the barrel, and if we take a quick look on that corner there, you can see we can still see a little bit of material that needs to be removed. So I'm just going to file that off nice and quickly. You might not be able to tell on camera, but a little trick I like to use is to sort of choke up on the file and use my finger as a stop, so that as my finger hits the barrel, I know that I'm not going to be damaging anything on the other side of the bore. Right then, with that all done, that's most of the burr removed. As you can see there, we're looking fairly clean within the hole, so that's the tricky part out of the way. The next thing we can do is give everything a good polish up and remove the burrs on both the internal O-ring groove and the barrel face. So to start with, what I'm using here is just some 1200 grit wet or dry sandpaper wrapped around a wooden dowel. I'm using a little WD-40 as cutting lubricant, and then using that to polish up the internal and external edges of the barrel. I still have the cotton bud inside the barrel, and I'm just spinning the barrel up in the lathe, but if you didn't have a lathe, you could also roll the barrel on a work surface and achieve the same result with a little more effort. With that said, it's really not complicated. We're just rounding out all the corners and making sure that there's no sharp burrs for the pellet to catch itself on. With the corners knocked off, I can use some finer paper and start to refine the polish. So my next step is 1800 grit, then 2500 grit, then I'll use either some polishing compound or a polishing cloth to finish things off nicely. One thing I do want to mention is that I'm only concentrating on the area just before the rifling. I am making sure I don't touch the rifling with the sandpaper or polishing compound, as I don't want to change the lead shape. So at the moment it's a straight taper straight into the rifling. However, I don't want to turn that into a taper with a belly in the middle. This could cause problems when loading the pellet, so I'm avoiding this area for now. If I did need to polish up the lead for any reason, I would polish with the rifling, in other words along the bore axis, rather than against it in a rotational way, but for now I'm leaving it well alone. And as you can see there, the polishing is starting to take shape, and now I'm just using some polishing cloth to finish things off nicely. This particular polishing cloth is from JTS, and I'm using the mint green stuff right here, which is around 6000 grit, and it does produce a real nice finish on metal work. You do need to get all the scratches out using the sandpaper, but when you come along with a polishing cloth, it just puts a nice shine on everything and removes any micro scratches. But with all that said and done, that's about it for now. I'm quite happy with that polish. What I'm going to do is put an O-ring in the O-ring groove, then push a pellet through and test it to make sure that there's no other work that needs to be done. For now though, I'll skip all that and we'll just go straight over to the bench. Right then, so I've got the barrel installed into the rifle. The next thing we can do is check that it loads nicely by using our magazine. So we have a pellet in the same position as we had it last time. We can go ahead and load that into the breech, then push the cocking arm forward. I didn't feel any major resistance or anything like that, and it actually loaded a lot smoother than it did before, so hopefully there won't be any sort of damage to the pellet. So we can go ahead and remove the barrel. Right then, so with the pellet pushed out of the end of the barrel, we can go ahead and take a good look at it there. So rolling it around, it looks fairly even. I can't see any major damage done to the pellet. We will take it over to the lathe, get it put on our spike and take a closer look at it in a minute. But for now, the initial impressions are quite good. I can't see any major damage. Right then, with our pellet mounted on our skewer once again, we can take a nice close-up look at it. So for the most part, everything looks really nice and clean. All the rifling is nice and clearly defined, and we have no major damage to either the head or the skirt of the pellet. There is one small mark if we rotate it nice and slowly, just there. So if I get it in the light, you may be able to see it a little easier. But if we look at the head of the pellet, just between this rifling mark and this one, we have this additional mark here. So that could be caused by either the loading of the pellet through the magazine or via the transfer port. I am going to pull the barrel out again and have another quick look at it, just see if I can locate the source of this damage. But for now, that looks really quite nice for the pellet itself. I'm more than happy with that. Right then, after a little more cleanup, here we are all set up in Pete's airgun farm. And what I'm doing now is just a few groups at 40 yards. Now, I'm quite happy with how the rifle is shooting. The one main benefit I noticed is that I'm no longer getting the extreme flyers. Before, when shooting the rifle using the magazine, there would be one or two extreme flyers that would go sort of an inch or two off course, but luckily that's no longer the case. Now, I still do get flyers, but I'm not too worried about that, as I haven't done any work to the action, and it is an unchoked barrel, so it is fairly sensitive to damaged pellets. With that said, if we take a quick look at the groups side by side, you can see a real nice improvement. So these two comparisons here were done over 2 weeks, one using the original barrel and magazine, then the next one using the reworked barrel and mag. So for the 30 or so minutes I spent on the barrel, I think it has been more than worth it, although one thing I'm still not sure on is whether or not to rebarrel the rifle. And that is because whilst I am quite happy with the groups we're getting, I have found it to be very pellet fussy. So it will do groups like these with 1 tin of pellets only, and that is JSB Shorts die 35. They shoot really well with the 35s, but die 56, 19, 57, 8, 34 and 43. It's noticeably less accurate. Again, I really am nitpicking with this rifle here. At the end of the day, it's £350, and for the money, I really can't complain, but I do like the idea of making it compete with top-end rifles, so what I'm probably going to end up doing is sorting out the action, getting a few more shots out of it, then I'll worry about the barrel at a later date. For now though, I'm quite happy with the improvement that I've made. Right then, so with that all said and done, would I recommend doing this modification to your rifle? So the thing I will say is that with all rifle modifications, you do take the risk of making the rifle worse or less accurate. Now for me personally, that is not a worry, as if this modification didn't work or made the rifle less accurate, I would just machine up another barrel and move on, but for you that may not be the case. So a better question would be, can you afford to make the rifle less accurate? And if the answer to that is no, then I would recommend leaving it well alone. But at the end of the day, you can do what you want with your rifle. I'm going to do what I want with mine. So with that all said and done, thanks for watching. If you are coming to the British Shooting Show, I will be there on the Crawley surplus store stand, helping out, so feel free to come over and say hello. But I hope that was interesting or useful. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.